But can I tell you something? I think it's how you view.
That's true. That's true.
Because you can be 16 and be picky. Like you can be like, yeah, I actually want a poodle instead of a Rottweiler. You can actually be picky. Like that was a very lazy example, but you can be picky too. I think being picky is very subjective. Everyone.
Okay, let's go through this because I don't know if you're debating in bad faith if you can't make simple biological concessions on the discussion.
Okay,
it's very simple.
Biological, right? So
yes.
Men, woman.
Yes.
Coochie, penis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because everything starts there.
Right.
So once we start there, that men and women are different. They're not the same.
Okay, so
let's go into
from
okay. You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
Sorry.
Because I'm trying to explain the concept here and why you're not correct.
Okay, go on.
Men and women are different.
Yes.
Men are looked at as protectors, providers, leaders.
Yeah.
Women are looked at as nurturers, and they want a man that's stronger than them that's going to take care of them. So in other words, women have far more requirements of men than men have of women. Okay? Women are more selective. Why? Because they carry children. Yeah. They can only bring one child to term per year. So when they do have a seed put in them, they need to make sure it's from the best man that they can get. Women want quality, men want quantity.
Yeah.
Okay? So since women want quality, by definition, okay, they're more selective than men are.
Right.
Okay? So what I'm saying is, since men don't ask for much, what we really ask for, the things matter less. Or sorry, excuse me, the things matter more.
Right.
So since we don't ask for much.
Would I go on Fresh and Fit for another podcast? It'd be nice to see you on there again. The last time I was on there, it got like on a fight in studio. If I could do a podcast with women that are less like, not right now. I'm sure I'll go back on. I'm a big fan, but right now I don't feel that way because that it's exhausting.
We want peace, maybe some food, you to not be a whore.
Right.
3 things really.
Yeah.
Each of those things have way more weight.
Yeah.
So what I'm arguing is if a woman can't be in the kitchen and cook, she's effectively significantly more useless because we don't ask for much. Okay. Whereas a guy, he can be ugly, but he can make up for that in other ways. Yeah. He could go ahead and get money. He could be charming. He could be charismatic. He can have some status. Men can make up for their lack of sexual market value. Okay. Women really can't. If you're a whore or you're ugly or you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're effectively useless. Because men and women are not the same with how we mate select. Okay. Okay, that's very important. Since we mate select in completely different ways, we look for different things. Yeah. So when a woman can't cook or isn't in the kitchen, a part of her duties, she's basically...
Yeah, so I don't see cooking being as needed for men anymore because a lot of men can cook. And a lot of men, especially in cities, like I just know a lot of guys that make decent money that don't care. They Uber Eats. Now, that being said, I would say that the most like the biggest deficit is likability in women. That's what I would say is the biggest deficit. And that's when I see the same thing Bonnie Blue has in like a weird way. I know she's a whore. But it's like this, she's argumentative, cutting him off, rude, disrespectful. Men will put up with whores, to be honest, if the whore is nice. But women just are nice. Men, yeah, we can outsource most things except for reproduction. I don't, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I look at what my brothers want and were looking for, I just didn't see cooking to be that high on the list because it's a bonus. It's nice. But, and I'm not saying this, and I'm not, but that's just what I see, I do, I think a lot of women cook to make up for terrible personalities. But I think the personality is a bigger deficit than the cooking.
Absolving. So why am I even with her?
to be honest, like a woman should learn how to cook as a man should. But obviously,
Cooking is the act of wanting to serve your family. Well, you could say that. But all I'm saying is the demand isn't what it used to be. No, we don't put up with hoes. Steve M., you might not. But can we not pretend that men don't? Every hoe I knew in college is currently married. Everyone. The kids, Pearl. The cooking for the kids. Yeah, but women are having 1, maybe 2 kids. I know families that Uber Eat for 4. You know what I mean? Like you can get, I'm not saying you should, right? It's very frivolous. But all I'm saying is this is not the demand it used to be. I would wife up Bonnie Blue and let her do half the planet as long as she gets the likes and shares. My peace is more important. Yeah, that's how I would say the number one skill is not being annoying.
you said, back to biology, back in the olden days, women were gatherers, men were hunters.
Okay,
It was
let me
kind
ask
of
you a
more like
question
a
real
team.
fast. Let me ask you
I'm
a
not
question.
done because I let you land.
Hold on.
So I'm not
Hold
done.
on.
Let me.
No. Because
let me.
Like, do you see? What if she could cook? Would that make up for this like personality? Like the lack of respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They hid their past well then. Steve. Okay. How would you know? Unless you're a very well-known guy and knows a lot of people. Women are experts at hiding this stuff. Their survival depended on it. I mean, like, it's just, we gotta end this delusion that men don't want to marry hoes, but they do, unfortunately. They do all the time, every single day. And I know men, even with experience, that got bamboozled.
Logic here.
Okay, go on.
Let me test your logic. Because you said a man should learn how to cook anyway. Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you go to boxing class, right?
Okay.
And you train to fight,
Yeah.
right? Someone comes up and assaults you and you're there with your boyfriend.
Assaults me.
Yeah. So
Like
some
how?
guy-
Headlock.
Yeah, he hits you, right? He
Like
hits you.
in the face, in the belly.
Well, I mean, he hits you. I'm just, it's just
It
a scenario
depends.
here.
Because like if it's in the belly, I can take it. If it's the eye, I can't take it.
Do you see the annoyingness? Like, what if she could make amazing, like, Irish food or whatever? Would that make up for the personality? The combativeness? The arguments? What would be better? Girl A can't cook, doesn't argue with you, sucks dick. Girl B can cook, bad attitude. Well, why can't I get both? All right, go find your unicorn, fellas. You know what I mean?
He hits you, right?
Okay.
Are you gonna what if your man looks at you and says, "Oh, well, you know how to fight. You got this one." No.
Yeah.
You would want him to do what he's supposed to do, which is protect you, right?
No, but like to be honest, that example was kind of like 2 out of 10 because if we're in a boxing ring, like that shit's supposed to happen. Maybe if we're in a supermarket, like what you guys have Target here, we have Lidl in Europe. If it was at the shopping mall, then
We don't want boss babes. I'm sure you don't. But I promise you, have you met men that were married to a lazy housewife? I'm not saying one's, obviously, if we get the ideal woman, she cooks, she's nice, she does all of it. But what I'm saying is don't let these women cooking fool you. Okay, that's my point. Don't let them.
like, I understand where my man needs to.
This is precisely why women need to be in the kitchen. They can't grasp logically sound analogies. Like
No,
this
but
is why.
but to be honest with you, I'm expressing an opinion. I respected your opinion, even though I might not agree with it. So if I'm talking, you can acknowledge it instead of diminishing it. Because like, can I tell you what your problem is? You saying women shouldn't be in the kitchen. That's not the problem. Women being in the kitchen, like that's what women were actually grown up to do. They're supposed to take care of babies and be in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's more so your tone and like, the vibes that you do deliver it in. You know what I mean? You might be a chill guy. You're actually a chill guy, but the way you deliver it may be the problem.
Like, can you imagine having your girl lecture you about your tone? exhausting.
But yeah, like obviously you didn't acknowledge my like point.
So
do you remember
I
my
guess,
point?
So it's how I said it versus what I said.
Okay.
Is that the problem?
He must love Angie so much.
That's the issue?
No, yeah, I think your delivery maybe. However, like, do you know how to cook yourself?
Okay, let's address the delivery.
Can I talk, please? Because I let you land. Where are you from? No, I just need to know culture-wise. Culture is important. Context to the conversation.
All right, let me address your point on the tone and delivery. Yeah. I think the truth is the truth, regardless of how it's delivered. Now,
Facts.
this is something that I've noticed exclusively with women, that I don't really deal with men. Women are more concerned with how the information is conveyed versus the information that's conveyed.
Yeah, but however, if you're in a job interview, like you're gonna obviously talk. Okay, yeah, like I'd love this job because I want to work hard. Dead ass, you just need money. You don't really care about they don't really. Like, they care about your qualifications. They want you to talk, but these times you're there for money. Like, if you didn't need a job, you wouldn't have a job. Then you wouldn't go to the interview. So delivery is actually very important.
It's not really analogous to what the
to
example,
you.